G'day guys, what we're doing today is we're taking photos of my car underneath the Milky Way, bit of light painting with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Let's get into it. G'day guys, Shane Mostyn here. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, everything I talk about here today is in the description down below. If you're new here, I do 2 videos each and every week all about small sensor photography, generally in low light in the bloody cold. So if you're interested in learning how to do that sort of stuff, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you know what I do each and every week. And if you have done that, you're a bloody legend. Today what we're doing is we're taking photos of this car right here underneath the Milky Way. You might think, well, that's no big bloody deal. I can tell you now, it's pretty bloody difficult. This is a really bright car. It's white. So when I'm shining light onto it, it's really, really bright, and it contrasts heavily with the Milky Way. With all sorts of Milky Way photography that I do, I'm always looking for a subject. There's 2 different ways that you can do it. One is having contrasted, silhouette-y sort of photos. So you might silhouette a windmill or a tree or a ridgeline or a mountain, things like that, and they're not lit up, they're just black against the sky, and the sky is brighter than what the ground is. What we're doing tonight though is we're putting a subject. In this case here, it's the car. It's the Mitsubishi Pajero, and if you're a Spanish speaker, you know that's probably not something that's very pleasant. Let me know what you think about that is down below there. But what we're shooting tonight is this against the Milky Way, and when we light this up, because it's a bright white car and it's big, it's going to stand out really, really heavily against a dark sky. So we need to work out how we're going to do that, and the key to doing it is the torch, and the torch that I use. With a regular camera, we can adjust the aperture and we can really push the light down and take a shorter photo. With the phones, we can't really adjust the aperture, not on most phones anyway, and because what we're using tonight here is just a regular Android phone, it's a Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, all of the Galaxies will do what we're about to do here tonight. But the critical thing here is adjusting the amount of light that we put onto the vehicle that's behind us. What I use is the Woburn torch, and I'll link down the bottom there to the torch that I use. I use this for all light painting stuff that I do. And the key to it is an off and on switch, on, and then I can increase the brightness of this torch incrementally. So I'll take a photo, I'll shine some light onto it, and if it's too bright, I'll adjust the torch. And then if it's too bright still, I'll adjust the duration of the amount of time that I'm actually painting the light onto the subject. Make sense? Sweet. Let's move on. The next thing we need to talk about is where the car is sitting and where the phone is sitting. So the phone's on a tripod. Obviously we need to be on a tripod. We need to have it, we'll go through the settings in a minute, but it's going to sit and still there for 30 seconds. So we can't be letting it move. So a tripod is an absolute must. All the tripods that I use in all my videos are also linked down the bottom there. I'm saying this all the time because you guys keep on asking. So there's the vehicle right there. The Milky Way, I've used photo pills already. I'll link up the top here as to how to use photo pills to find where the Milky Way is and get ready for your photo, like plan where it's going to be, set the composition. So the vehicle is here and the Milky Way is rising up behind it there. So when you think about how these things are going to sit, the Milky Way way up high, the vehicle here, and then I want the phone, the camera, a little bit lower again. So I'm shooting up past the car, up into the Milky Way. So that's why the camera is sitting down a bit lower tonight. So the quickest way that I set up all these photos at night when I've got a vehicle that I'm moving around is I'm going to use the torch and use the live view, if you like, through the camera. So the settings that we're using here tonight is Pro mode. We're using 30 seconds. We're using manual focus all the way to infinity. We're using ISO 3200, and that's all you really need to worry about. That's the settings that I've got there now. I'll go into Pro, right there, and there's the setup that I've got going on right there. So as I look through here, I'm shining the torch and I know the Milky Way is up behind it there, but I want to make sure that the camera is not sitting with half the vehicle in the photo only. It needs to be the whole vehicle, and I'll shine the torch now from the front of the vehicle all the way through to the back of it and make sure the whole vehicle is in the view here. So now what I'm going to do is actually take the photo and show you how I light paint this vehicle. So I know it's all set up now. I'll hit the shutter button. It's taking the photo right now. So I'm going to go to this side, and whilst I'm over here, I'll shine the torch across in front of it so the grill is lit up. And once that part of the photo is taken, I'll duck around this side, I'll go behind the camera, and I'll shine the torch from this lighter's side as well. And that's all the light we need to change. The photo's nearly finished, it's nearly done, and we're done. That doesn't look too bad, but we can make it better. And the way that we're going to make it better is by using the interior lights on the vehicle. So if I go and open these doors, and you just have to work this out for your own vehicle, if I open the doors, leave it open for a couple of seconds, close it again, I've got roughly 18 seconds of light from the internal lights in the vehicle. And that will give us another dimension to this photo. We're already lighting it from the outside. The Milky Way, as you've seen from that photo, is already up there behind it. Now we want to get some light inside the vehicle as well. And you can play around with the lights. If you don't have interior lights in your vehicle, use a torch. Use another phone. Use an iPhone or any other phone that you've got. Use the torch on that. Dim it right down. You'll be surprised how little light you need to make a lot of light in a photo, because it's going for 30 seconds. So I'll open this up and we'll do it again. They will stay on now. I'll stay on now for about 18 seconds. I'm going to count down to roughly 15. We're getting close. It's pretty close. I might just start it now. Those interior lights will go out any second. They're out now. So the front's done. Let's do the side. We're done. That's all the light you need. You don't need to put a lot of light into this photo. It's amazing how much it picks up. Let's have a look at what we got. As far as taking the photo goes, that's it. There's really not much else to it. You can get pretty creative with some of the stuff that you do here by using extra lights. I'll link up the top to a video that I did with my brother-in-law Chevy just back before Christmas. Some pretty impressive photo there with using Lytra torches and also that Woburn torch that I used here tonight. What we're going to do now is have a look at this photo. We're going to edit this and we'll probably put it in Lightroom. We haven't used Lightroom for a little while, and we'll do a bit of an edit and you'll see how much detail we can bring out of this vehicle with the night sky. It's pretty bloody amazing. Let's go and do that. Now you may find if you take the photos with the settings that I've given you, if you live in an area that's a bit too light polluted, you may need to adjust those settings. You might need to adjust the ISO. I would go down by half first, so go to ISO 1600, still shoot for 30 seconds. And if that doesn't work, go to ISO 800 and still shoot for 30 seconds. And if it's still going too bright, maybe drop that 30 seconds down to 15 seconds and try it again. I think you'll find a nice little even playing field between the ISO and the shutter speed to get rid of that white photo if you're living in a light polluted area. So we'll open up Lightroom and put the photo straight into Lightroom, and here it is. Here you can see there's a few things that I noticed straight away. One is there's a lot of haze in this photo, and that's because there's a little bit of dust in the air and I'll shine the torch around. So we'll deal with that in a minute. The next thing I notice is that there's a lot of highlight from that interior light setup in the vehicle. If I zoom in there, you can see there's a lot. It's really blown out bright, and we're going to need to deal with that as well. The car itself is a little too bright, and we can certainly deal with that, and we'll go through and do all of that now. So we'll go straight away to light, and we're going to increase the contrast. When I do all these photos, I'm looking at the sky as well as the subject. When you do something like the contrast, it will affect the whole photo. All these things that we're doing will affect the whole photo. We don't want to do too much to emphasize one point if it's going to take away from another point. So as I increase the contrast, I'm looking at, say, the wheels on the vehicle. If I go right up there, they're highly contrasted, and the sky is getting pretty well highly contrasted too. So if I look at, say, around about 50 or so, I'm happy with where that sits right there. The highlights, I'm going to reduce that all the way down and looking at the interior of the vehicle here. If I bring it all the way up, it's going to blow right out. If I bring it right down, it's going to be as good as I'm going to achieve with what I've got here. I still think that's quite a good photo. Now if we go to the whites, and the whites have been increased a little. If I decrease these, you can see it's bringing in a vignette around the photo, but it's also affecting the car itself. So I'm going to leave it roughly around 20. I like what it's doing with the car there. If I increase the blacks, the overall brightness of the photo is going to be increased. I'm not really that keen on that. If I bring it down, yeah, I like it where it is there, around about 30 or so, negative 30. I like how that looks, just like that. Next tab across is the color, And I shot all of these in RAW. This is a RAW file. If I increase the temperature a little bit, it kind of matches the color of those interior lights, and I don't mind that. Now the tint, I'm usually going to put a little bit of magenta tint into these photos. That's too much. Right about there. What's that, 25, 26? And I'm pretty happy with that. Overall, I'm quite happy with how that looks. There's going to be noise up in the stars, and we'll deal with that now. So we'll go across to the effects tab. We'll deal with the noise in a minute. I'm going to increase the clarity, and I'm looking at the sky here more than anything else, just the sky, and I think that looks pretty good. Maybe even too much. I'll bring that back a little bit, around 30 or so. I'm quite happy with that. Now we'll go to the dehazing, and I'm going to increase the dehazing. That looks good there. If I look at the back of the vehicle there, that dehazing did some pretty cool things to the back end there. It's a bit glowy there. Glowy? Is that even a word? Cloudy? Yeah, I like how that looks. We'll go to the details tab and we'll go to the noise reduction. It's already done a little bit. Let's go up to the sky. There's a few star trails there. That's because we shot at 30 seconds. Unfortunately on this phone, the Galaxy S21 Ultra, I can't bring it incrementally from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. Ideally we'd be shooting this at about 20 seconds and it would reduce those star trails significantly. Now I think that looks pretty good. What I don't like is I would like to be able to decrease or increase the contrast in the sky but not the vehicle, and we can do that by going all the way over to the left hand side, the selective tool, hitting on the plus, hitting on the gradient tool, and sliding down from the top. I don't want it to be too big, but I do want it to be flat. Then I'm going to grab that square and bring it down so that the middle line is sitting somewhere on the horizon. Now everything that's red there is going to be affected by what I'm about to do, and I don't want the car to be affected by that. So if I zoom in on the car and go across a little bit and I hit the eraser there, it's going to erase from the horizon just over there and on the car. I'm just going to slide my finger across the car, get rid of anything that's red on there. I'm just going to scroll over to the left hand side there as well and get rid of the stuff on the horizon and the front of the vehicle. One of the very few things that I don't like about this phone is the cambered off edges, the angled edges of the glass. I tend to get stuck in the sides there a little bit. You can see there it's not going down quite as far as I want it to. But anyway, look, you get the idea and I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is go to the light. I'm going to increase the contrast, and it's only going to affect the stuff that was red before. So all the stuff that was in part of this gradient tool, go to the effects and add clarity to that, and that's made that core pop a little bit. This is just the tail of the core, the tip of the core, it's either end. The actual gaseous cloud is sitting just below the horizon still a bit at this time of year. What I do like here is how the ground is lit up. The sky looks quite good. I'm going to increase the color or increase the brightness in front of the vehicle. Looks like I've missed a little bit with the torch there, and we'll try doing that the same way. So I'm going to hit the plus button there and hit the brush tool, and I'm going to just brush in like that at the front of the vehicle and go to light and increase the shadows. We'll see what happens there. That's not too bad. We'll try a little bit with the exposure, only a little bit. That's it. Happy with that, and hit the tick, and that photo is done. So if you're into this sort of photography, we've actually created a Facebook group over there called Shane Mostyn Bloody Legends Photography Group. I'll link it down the bottom in the description here, and you can head over there. Make sure you answer the questions, because our shared moderators on this group, we're pretty militant, and if you don't answer the questions, well, you're not getting in. Answer the questions, join the group, share your photos, share your experiences, talk about what you like about taking the photos that you do. People will help you get better with your photography. Other members in the community, with some bloody talented photographers out there. So head over there, join the community, and I'll see you guys next week. Catch you later.